Cynthia is an interfaith minister, a writer, and lover of this world. Her passion is to help heal this planet by inspiring people to act with courage, kindness, and fierce love. Welcome, please, Cynthia Greb.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
I'm so happy to see you all and be with you. So when I was a little girl, my parents took me to church where I learned that God was a man and he was up there, right? Didn't we all learn that? Our Father who art in heaven, right? Those were the things that we were taught from the time we were little. And I never thought to question it. You know, as a kid, you just kind of accept what you're told for the most part. Well, eventually I realized that I felt closer to God when I was out in nature than I ever did in a building or a church. Something about, walking on the grass and feeling the breeze and listening to the birds and walking through the cornfields and gazing at the stars, like that's when I felt close to God. But I didn't have any words for this. I didn't realize it was a thing until many years later. I went to grad school and I was introduced to some new concepts, and one of them was pantheism. So the word pan, the root word pan means all, and theism means belief in God. So pantheism is the belief that God is in everything, that God is everywhere, especially in nature. By the way, Pan is the Greek god of all of nature. And Pandora means all gifts. So before patriarchy got a hold of her myth, she was a very beautiful earth goddess. Patriarchy has really damaged some of our mythology, just FYI. So, there's a lot of faith traditions that resonate with me, but indigenous philosophy feels the most resonant in my soul. And I think one of the reasons is because they understand that nature is a part of it, that we're all connected, that we're all related. And in church and in the Bible we're taught that man was created to have dominion over the world and over the animals. What a different energy to have dominion or to be part of it all and to be related. How would the world be a different place if we went back to that philosophy of us being all connected, right? Native people will say that, the clouds are our brothers and the river is our brother and the spider is our aunt or our cousin. It's in their language, this relatedness. So at one point in my life, I was very blessed to feel this sacred energy of the world. I want to share that experience. So 5 years ago, I felt drawn to go to this workshop in Joshua Tree in California. And it was led by Sandra Ingerman, who is an amazing, wonderful person, by the way. And many of you may know that she teaches shamanic journeying and soul retrieval. But in the beginning, she was a biologist. And one of the things that she was very fascinated with is there a way to reverse pollution, especially in the water? Is there a way to do that? And she ended up transferring to CIIS, California Institute of Integral Studies, and I think her work started getting a little bit more esoteric, and she began to discover that yes, there is a way to do it, and it can happen on the spiritual plane. So this workshop was called Healing the Earth with Our Spiritual Light. Healing the Earth with Spiritual Light. And she actually did experiments where when people got out of their physical, mental bodies and into their light bodies, because we're all light, when we were in our light bodies, there was actually a healing and a transmutation that would happen of people or situations or bodies of water there was a healing that actually happened. And it takes a while to cultivate that kind of light, but we know it's possible. It reminds me of Dr. Emoto's work. Our energy, our thoughts can change physical reality. And he showed us how the crystals and the molecules of water would change when they were permeated with thoughts of love and harmony and beauty and gratitude. And, to me, this is the ultimate lesson for us right now in the world when so much is happening. We need to really integrate these lessons of how can we transmute this world. There are ways to do it. And I think the foundation is we need to remember the sacredness of this world. So, back to Joshua Tree. So, about day 3, there was an exercise that she gave us. There were about 70 people, and she had us each do a journey of our own with our rattles or our drums, and to go to a teacher or guide of our choice. And I'm blessed because I have a few. But at that time, for some reason, Jesus popped into my head. And I had this thought. I thought, what if instead of journeying to wherever he might be, I asked him to come to me? It was a really interesting idea. Not what she would advocate necessarily, but I thought, I'm going to ask him to come here. And with those thoughts, it happened. I felt different. I felt so much joy, so much love. It was just incredible how fast it happened. And it's, there's so many churches. Ask Jesus into your heart to be your Savior, blah, blah, blah. This was it felt so different. It was like, this beautiful man, come here, and he did. And I thought, I don't want to be here in this room with all these people. I want to really integrate this experience. And by the way, if you don't happen to believe in Jesus, just bear with me, because the end will resonate, I think, with all of you. I thought, I need to be outside. And so I walked out the door, and I'm looking around this world, this desert world with the Joshua trees and all the flora and fauna, and I am just radiating. I mean, I felt like a star. I was just radiating. I just had so much joy in me. And at the time I noticed that I was wearing a long skirt, and I happened to have a shawl. And because of a sacred dream I once had, I put the shawl over my head. And the thing that's neat about that is when there's a head covering, it kind of creates this illusion of privacy. It gives you a little curtain from the world, and that was what I was needing. So I was walking along, and I thought, I probably am more like Mary right now than Jesus. And it's okay, because they're related, and because they're both holy beings. So I'm walking along, feeling this energy, and I suddenly realized I was God, and I was walking on God. And I was breathing God. And I was looking at God. God was everywhere around me. It's like the world was infused with Godness. And I was a part of it. And the trees were a part of it. And the birds and the lizards were a part of it. And we're all part of it. And even Alexander and other people who've had near-death experiences, they get to experience that. They're not in this physical plane, they're in the spirit world, or on the other side, whatever words you want to use. And one of the things almost all of them say is, it's so hard to describe, but it was like love was permeating the universe. It was, and that's an energy we can feed ourselves with. We can feed ourselves with news and despair, or we can feed ourselves with this knowledge that this world has love in it. This world is sacred. We are part of a sacred world. So how do you live? How do you live in a world that's sacred as opposed to a world where we have dominion? Like, what changes? What's different? And I realized one of the things is when I am walking my path in a good way, in the morning I'll oftentimes go outside and I'll just greet the world. So I'll greet the sky, and I'll greet the rising sun, and I'll greet the singing birds and the trees, because I'm so grateful for them, and because I love them. And I really believe that nature feels our love. They feel it and they need it. I really believe that part of the reason why we're losing so many songbirds, why so many forests are being destroyed, is because I think too many of us are forgetting to appreciate it. Like, how many people get up and, shower, get into their car, go to work, and never notice the birds singing? Just never hear it. And why do you want to stay around if nobody appreciates you? Like, why not disappear? Nobody will notice, right? So I think when things are loved, they flourish and they grow. So I think one of the ways we act differently when we love the world, when the world is sacred, is that we love it. Like, remember when Notre Dame caught on fire and the whole world was like, oh, this beautiful sacred building's on fire, we might lose it. When something is sacred, you want to protect it and love it and honor it. So I want to give a couple examples of things that we can do.
I noticed one day, 1 or 2 miles down the road, there were several trees on this corner property with big red X's on them. And I found out that PennDOT,
the Department of Transportation, was going to cut them down because they thought they were blocking the line of sight. And I was so distressed. First of all, I didn't believe it was totally true. Like, I knew that road, it was a dead-end road, there were maybe 40 people on it. It didn't get a lot of traffic, and I thought, really? Do they have to cut down 5 or 6 trees? Really? Can't they find another solution? So I thought, what can I do about these trees? I could write a letter to the editor, and it would raise awareness, but I don't think it would stop it in time. I mean, this was imminent, right? So I could go to a supervisor's meeting, but again, the same thing, it wouldn't be fast enough. And I thought, I'm going to stand with the trees. And I was blessed that I was self-employed at the time, and I would go there each morning just in case the PennDOT crew came to cut down the trees. And I stood there, and I stood beneath the tree. And they came with their chainsaws, and they said, we're here to cut down the tree. And I said, I'm sorry, I'm not moving. And so they had to leave, because they obviously couldn't chop down branches with me standing there. It'd be too great a liability. And so they would leave. And this happened 2 or 3 times before the supervisor came to have a talk with me. Because he was, sending out his crews to do this job that they couldn't do. So he was going to try to reason with me. And I have somewhere in my files this picture that was taken by a reporter, and it was the greatest photo, because there I am in all my, youthful serenity and beauty, just standing there very calmly there beneath the tree, and this, older white guy is leaning over me, like gesticulating wildly, trying to persuade me of the error of my ways, and it was such a dramatic contrast. It was a great picture. So long story short, we came to a compromise. And he said, what if we just cut down the first couple of trees and leave the rest? And I thought, I can live with that, because I was afraid if I said no, they would all go. I was glad to save a few trees. So yay. I think sometimes when we love something, we have to go outside the box when we want to protect it, or, right? If it's a person we love, or if it's a tree or the water, we might have to go outside the box to be courageous, to do something different. Like the water protectors in Standing Rock. I have so much respect for them. Their level of sacrifice is incredible. They're out there in all the elements, the heat, the cold, the rain, they're there protecting the water. And although it's because there's this pipeline that's coming through, the energy is not fight the pipeline, stop oil, blah, blah, blah. It's not that. It's like protect our water. We need our water. It's sacred. We have to have water to survive, right? So I honor them. I honor them. And believe me, they face a lot of abuse because racism is rampant in the Dakotas and many parts of this country. It's really bad. So I honor these people for protecting the water. So speaking of water, I have one more story. About a year ago, I received an email with a link to singthewatersong.com. And it was this beautiful video of indigenous women and other women of different traditions and colors, multi-generational, and they were singing this beautiful song to the waters. It's a gorgeous video. I recommend you look at this site, singthewatersong.com. So there was a native elder in Canada who asked a woman from a notable tribe, he asked a woman, an elder, to create a song that women around the world could sing. Because there's a lot of water songs in indigenous tribes and traditions, but this one was supposed to be very simple so women could learn it. So it's a 4-line song, and the first 2 lines are in Ojibwe, but it's easy to learn because the words are written as the video plays. And Nibi wabo and I am Aki miskui nibi wabo Heya 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 hey Heya 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 oh. So I really resonated with the idea of blessing the waters. Because that happens on a spiritual plane, not just the physical plane. So when I went back to Pennsylvania a few months ago, I sent out an email to my girlfriends. This is supposed to be only for women. I'm not sure why. It could be because we create life and so we want to save life. It could be for thousands of years we've been the one carrying the water from the rivers. I don't really know why, but I respect their decision. So I sent out an email to my girlfriends, will you come bless, this stream with me? And a few of them came. And then the next month, we blessed a spring, this beautiful spring. And for 4 consecutive months, we blessed a different body of water with our song and our prayers and our hearts. So I want to tell you about the one where we were blessing the Delaware River. And it was hard to come up with a date that was good for everybody because everybody has different work schedules. So I decided to pick a date that had numerical significance. So it was November 11th, 11/11. And we met at 11:11 a.m. so everybody could remember. 11/11 at 11:11. And guess how many women showed up? 11 women. Is that not amazing? So what was beautiful is the love of the women for this river was so palpable. You could hear it in their prayers. They love this river so much. And so we had this beautiful sacred river giving life to so many beings and so many trees. And we had the sacred prayers and the sacred hearts of these women of all ages. And we were further blessed with another sacred being. The whole time we were there, and an hour before, because I come early to greet the spirits and help to create this space, for 2 full hours, there was an eagle. And I had been sitting on the picnic table to meditate, and I noticed there were tall trees on an island just off the shore, and there were 2 eagles sitting in that tree. And one flew off, but the other one stayed the entire time. So to me, it's another example of the world responds when you show your love. The world responds when you show your love. And we each We each are unique beings with our own gifts, so the way that we interact with the sacred world will be different for each of us. Some of us will be artists, some will be writers, some will be activists, some will be prayers, some will be hikers. But my invitation to you all is, when you wake up in the morning, ask yourself this question: how can I better love this world? How can I show my love to this world today? How can we love this world?